I don't have a studio space yet. How's it going, guys? This video is for you. So recently on the channel, we hit 10,000 subscribers. We're a little bit past that now, which is absolutely amazing. And as I promised, if we hit 10,000 subs, I would do what is probably the most requested video on the channel, and that is a complete look at my entire knife collection. I'm gonna be showing you guys the whole kit and caboodle here. We got an epic giveaway in this video, and at the end of this thing, I've got a knife that I promise you nobody on earth has anything like. You're gonna wanna see this thing. It's pretty rad.
Now you have my attention.
Hydrate, get some food, and strap in because we have a few knives to talk about. And I'm gonna randomly grab them out of the box. And so we're gonna kick off with one I first grabbed, and that is my Chavez Ultramar Redención. This knife is flawless, in my opinion. This is a contender for top 5, top 1 or 2 knives in my entire box. S35 VN blade, full titanium construction with the frame lock. You got that awesome Chavez clip on there. I mean, it's just awesome. And the thing that sells me on this knife, personally, the reason I love it so much is the action. So the action on it, I mean, you could just play with it all day, but you know, it also gets work done, right? Absolutely love this thing. And you know, to boot, Ramon's a great guy. So Ramon Chavez, awesome dude. Chavez knives, great stuff. And like I said, we're just gonna randomly grab knives. So I'm not even gonna look. Let's see, what's the next thing I got? Okay, we've got the, oh, this is actually really funny. You guys are getting both the bangers right out of the gate here. This is my HK Mini Access. And this is a Benchmade made knife. D2 blade, if I remember right, G10 handles. Obviously it's got the axis lock on it. This is my #1 favorite knife. The Redención and the HK, I mean, they compete, but I just absolutely love this thing. It's got great action. I carried this knife exclusively for probably 2-3 years. This was like one of the first knives that I really spent like money on. I think when I bought this knife, it was like $160, $180. Like it was an expensive knife for me at the time. And yeah, I remember just staring at it at the knife store forever, being like, I'm gonna buy that one day. And sure enough, I did. So yeah, HK Mini Access. These are kind of hard to find. I think they're kind of becoming collector's knives, but I'll never get rid of it because I absolutely love it. All right, so from there, let's just grab this one. This one is an awesome one. So this is a classic, right? I mean, this is a Spyderco Para 3. This particular one comes in the JG10 with an M4 blade. I love this knife. This is a really, really great knife. I've got a Lynch pocket clip on this thing, and not much more to say. It's a classic EDC knife for a reason. I use this knife for a lot of like hard use tasks. I know a lot of knives in this pattern are considered like collector knives, but again, kind of just use my stuff and dig it, you know? It's like, why not use it if you're gonna have it? Why have it if you're not gonna use it, right? And that's nothing to say against Safe Queens. I do have 1 or 2 Safe Queens in here that we are gonna take a look at. But yeah, Spyderco Para 3, excellent knife all the way around. And then again, in this configuration, great work knife. And I love it. Stays in my box, stays in my pocket. All right, let's see here. Honestly, I can't really see in the box very well, but I think, here we go. Where's the companion? Okay, cool, here it is. All right. So this is the CRKT Persian. For a long time, I had a thin, I don't even know, it was a polymer handle CRKT knife that I carried in my pocket. It was when I was teaching college. You know, I was wearing like slacks and ties and shirts and stuff. Cause like, if you're gonna teach college, you gotta like lean into that professor thing, right? And so I would carry in-pocket knives, and it was a great knife. It was a locking knife, don't remember the name of it, but it ended up breaking eventually. I was like working on a bicycle or something like that, prying with it, doing something I shouldn't have, and I broke it. And so I went to warranty it. CRKT was awesome. They're like, yeah, we'll totally warranty. We don't make that knife anymore. So I was looking for something that was kind of in a similar size range, and that led me to the CRKT Persian. And I'm not gonna lie to you, this is an ugly knife. It's just straight up an ugly knife. But it's got some like good action to it. It really like pops open. And so I carried this knife for, I don't know, a good while. I actually think this was the last knife I carried before my H&K Mini Access. I think this was the knife that was right before that one. And then the funny thing is that I've got some good buddies over at CRKT, and we've done some fun stuff in the past together. And so my buddy Ryan over at CRKT, he found like the last Persian that they had ever. He like found it on a dusty shelf in the back of the CRKT warehouse, and he gave it to me. He actually put my name on it, which was super cool. And this has the original G10 scale, so you can see, I'm pretty sure they're G10. So you can see the difference here. I really again, it's not a very attractive knife, and I really hated the scales. So I slimmed it up a bit by taking the scales off, and you know, it's a good one. My buddy Ben Banters makes fun of me for this knife pretty often, but it's a great knife, and I love that I have 2 of them now, one of them from a friend, and one that I did honestly carry for a good little while. And that's kind of the thing is like, sometimes you carry a knife that just fits a motif, it fits a particular need that you have at that time, a particular niche that you have at that time. Let's see here. We're just gonna grab. I'm not gonna we can't dilly-dally, right? We have a lot of knives to talk about, guys, so we can't dilly-dally here. All right, so next up we have my SOG, or I guess SOG, Pentagon XR. I love this knife. So when I was younger, SOG did a lot of stuff that I was really interested in. There was a lot of cool stuff. I mean, you had the whole military thing going on and like hardcore operator stuff. And then I feel like SOG kind of fell off for a little while. I feel like there was, I don't know if it was production issues, I don't know what it was, but they fell off the map for me. And then they started getting some of these XR lock knives out of there. So you have like the Terminus and you have the Seal and you have all these other ones. And they're stellar knives. This Pentagon stays in my pocket regularly. I really, really like it. One thing that's really interesting about this one is it does have a dagger tip. So, or I guess they call it like a shark tooth, which means just the edge of it up top is sharpened and the back side of it is sharpened as well. Now I was talking to somebody on Instagram and they had said that their XR lock had got a little loose and that there was some wobble, like some play in the blade, and that they were worried about the end of the knife coming up out of the handle. I haven't had that experience, and I use this knife a lot. Like, this knife gets carried a lot in my pocket because I really dig it, and the XR lock is so smooth. I was making fun of Jamie the other day because, you know, he always carries his bug out, and I was like, yeah, but can your Axis lock do this? And it's like, it's really cool. It's like a really cool, like, I don't know, like, again, it's just a fidget thing. It feels really good, but the thing basically closes itself. So yeah, the Axis lock doesn't do that, the XR lock does. That doesn't make one better than the other, but I do really dig that SOG Pentagon XR. I would really love to get a Seal XR. I think those are awesome. Just never bit the bullet on one. All right, let's go to the top here. What do we got? Let me see, this knife might, okay. So this knife I found in a warehouse underneath a shelf. Literally, that's where I found this knife. It is just a silly, silly knife. I have no idea what the brand is, but it does say Take Down Al Qaeda on it. And it does, it's made from 1045 surgical steel. So that's what this thing is. Just a weird, chunky little thing. I have never carried it, I don't think. But it does fall into my goofy gas station collection, and so it just kind of sits in there because it's like a piece to talk about. When my buddies come over, they're always getting in my knife drawer being like, hey, what new knife do you have? And yeah, that one's always a fun conversation piece. Oh, sweet. So this is my steel will, this is the Tasso. This has got the ant lock on it, which is really, really cool. So I think it was like the first SHOT Show that I went to. They were talking about the ant lock, or it might have been like they had talked about it the year before. But anyways, basically I'd been hearing about the ant lock for a while, and then they finally came out with some knives with the ant lock on it. To be honest, I haven't kept up with Steel Will, Steel Will, a little hard to say. I don't know what they're still doing or not doing with the ant lock. I don't know like what they're producing or not producing. I guess it's on me. But this particular one has M390, it's got G10 handles, it's got this really cool backspacer. And the way the ant lock work is kind of interesting. So it's similar to like an XR lock or an Axis lock or whatever, but it's not the same because it's basically a back lock. So it's a really strong locking knife that then you have this mechanism here. So you push up on this and that breaks the back lock. So you get a really strong locking knife, but you get kind of some of that one-handed operability that you get with like an Axis lock or an XR lock or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I really like the Tasso. I don't carry this one a ton, but I do carry it from time to time. I really like the ant lock. I really like the idea of a really strong one-handed back lock. An M390 blade, like, can you go wrong? It's like one of my favorite blade steels. M390 all day. Okay, let's see. No, we've been up there a bit. Let's see, where haven't we gone? We haven't, no, we've been in that drawer too. Where haven't we been yet? Oh, actually, I'm glad I did this. So this is a wood shim that's reminding me to tell you guys to like and subscribe. So if you dig the video, give it a like. If you love the video, hit a subscribe. So there's that. All right, back to the store. Oh, okay, this is cool. So this is a Spyderco salt knife, and this has got the H1 steel on it. Now, this knife is kind of an interesting one. So for years, I did not like fully serrated blades. It felt like every task that I had, I just needed like a straight cutting knife. I didn't need a bunch of serrations. But I ended up going and doing some scuba diving with Luke Imel was his name. And he was like a free diver. And so he would free dive off the coast of California and like go spear hunting and all this rad stuff. And he was like, he's a huge fisherman, always fishing. And he carried a lot of H1 knives and he swore by the fully serrated blades. So I was like, okay, cool. Like if I'm gonna get an H1 knife, which, you know, if you're gonna be in water or whatever, totally get an H1 knife. It never rusts. He uses his in the ocean, doesn't ever take them out of the boat. They don't rust. So I'm telling you, they're great knives. But anyways, full serrations, and he was talking about how useful they were. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna get an H1 knife. I'm gonna get full serrations. And you know, full serrations back lock. It's just got like a plastic handle. And then it's kind of got a hawkbill blade shape to it. And then it does have a little bit of a straight edge to the end, which I do find like useful for like cutting detailed stuff or whatever. But basically, I put this knife in my pocket anytime I'm gonna go do water sports or go swimming or anything like that. And it's pretty cool. I can carry a pocket knife wherever I go, especially when it's wet. And not have to worry about my pocket knife. And I have found that the full serrations is really awesome. Like if you're cutting a lot of line and stuff like that, full serrations beats like any other blade by a million miles. So I really like that little salt knife. It's a good little knife. Good little knife. All right, sweet. So it looks kind of like a gas station knife, not a gas station knife. This is my Boker Desert Warrior automatic knife. I love this thing, not much to say about it. It's really cool. Had a lot of fun with this thing and I love the design. So yeah, and my little brother Logan, he actually carries his knife like full-time all the time in a warehouse job, and it's this knife, which I know, again, these have kind of become kind of a collector's piece as well. And I was just stoked to get one because you have to, when those things pop, like you gotta be there to get them, that's for sure. Okay. I feel like we're like kind of hitting some of the goofy knives at first. Maybe I shouldn't have grab bagged this thing so much. So this is the Kizer XL Sheepdog. And what more do I need to say, right? G10 handle. I don't even know what the blade steel is on this. Probably like it's a 154 cm. And I think everybody needs ridiculous knife in their collection. You know, the funny thing is I do carry this knife. This knife is actually awesome. Not only do I carry this knife, but it fits in the pocket really well as well. So they figured out whatever dark science cold steel used to get all those big knives to fit in your pocket. And this XL Sheepdog fits great in the pocket. And it like makes a splash, right? Like it's just a fun knife. Like if you're gonna be into knives, you should have a couple fun knives. Like why not? Why not have a couple fun knives? Okay, let's try to get something more serious here. Let's see. I can kind of see up in here. I already talked about this morning. Okay. Oh, you know what? Actually, let's do a fixed blade. I keep my fixed blades in the bottom. Okay. Let's see. Okay, this is a good one. We'll do the Puko. Okay. This is my Benchmade Puko. So this has got a 3V steel, so really rad bushcrafting knife. I know that there was some like controversy a little while ago about their 3V being a particular hardness or not a particular hardness. I don't have a way to test the steel on it, so I don't know which one this is, but I do know that I've really enjoyed this knife and have used it for a lot of bushcrafting. Comes with a good little leather case with a dangler, always fun, or you can just put it right through your belt loop. So good little case, and it has a place for a ferro striking rod. This is actually a more fresh case because I think I lost the other one or I ruined the other one that I had. I can't remember. So this case hasn't seen a lot of action, but as you can see, the knife has been out and had some good times. Now, a really fun thing about this knife is we were actually doing a video at one point with Hans from Benchmade. So a long time ago, I was working with my buddy Hans over at Benchmade. It was gonna be a collaboration video with Dutch Bushcraft knives. So the guys were DBK guys. It was gonna be so awesome. So we took the knife out and we were like batoning with a bunch of stuff, and we like did a ritual where we had the DBK guys like embody me and Hans, and we had them do voiceover, and it was wild. It was a wild video, but then there were some production issues with the 3V, and so we ended up never releasing that video, which is a bummer because it was a lot of fun. But you know, DBK, if you guys are watching, like we should do a video sometime together. It would be great. But yeah, we like, it was great, guys. Like we went out in the forest and we like had like a deer skull and incense, and we like did like a ritual to summon the DBK guys. It was wild. It was wild, but you know, a lot of fun. You know, you gotta have fun out there, that's for sure. Let's see. Oh, hey, this is kind of a newer one, actually. So this is the Gerber Dual Force. Now, I'm not gonna talk a ton on this right now. I'm doing a full video review of this. I've been working on the remodel here for about a week and a half, and this Dual Force has been in my pocket, in my work bags, in my, you know, in its side pouch and all of that, right out of the gate, the whole time I've been testing it. And I'm putting together a complete review video for you guys on this thing. So yeah, coming soon. But I will say that the center drive on this is pretty cool. I think that this is a pretty cool addition to any multi-tool to get kind of a full-size screwdriver going on it. I have found it come in very handy for a lot of different tasks around. But full review on the Dual Force coming shortly to the channel. And let's see, let's go to the next one here. Oh, okay. I've got like a fitment of knives in here that I'll show you guys. So I'm not really a balisong guy, you know, like a butterfly knife guy, but I do have some balisong knives. Now, if you can't tell, I'm in the middle of a big remodel, kind of on the move. I also have a squid trainer, which I really, really love. And I also have an auto bally. I couldn't find them for the video, I'm sorry guys. But what I do have is I have some of these Cold Steel. I don't remember what they called these things. I don't even know if they still make these. Cold Steel is not quite the company that it was at one time. But yeah, these like full polymer like butterfly knives that Cold Steel made. And they're kind of wild, to be honest. But I really love them. They're definitely sharp. They're definitely, you know, the real deal. They flip fine enough. I'm not like a real flipper. Here, let's see. Okay. Well, there you go. Not a real flipper. I used to be able to do a thumb roll. Oh, ooh, I almost did it. This is a real knife. I would have cut my hand off, but you know, it is what it is. And then I've got this, this is like a cheap gas station balisong. I don't even know what brand this is. This is a no brand. So yeah, I think I got this at a gas station or a county fair. And then I have a Blade Show BB Barfly. Great little trainer, fun knife to have. And then this is not a butterfly knife, but it does fold out. And I literally cannot remember the name of this knife. I do remember at one point in time, this was like the #1 knife sold in Maine for some reason, or like the #1 most quantity of knife bought in Maine at one point in time. But yeah, so these are kind of my balisong folder knives. I'm not really a bally flipper, but I feel like every knife guy's gotta have, I don't know, gotta have a bally, right? And so these are just kind of a couple that I've collected over time. But yeah, I mean, these are really fun. I don't play with them very often, but they do live in my box. All right, let's see here. You know, I've got a couple like kind of same knives. I'm gonna grab those really quick and we'll talk about them just really fast. Okay, cool. So I have, okay, set these aside. So I have these two case knives. This is, I don't remember the name of either of these, but this is kind of just like a smaller knife. And if I remember right, the blade shape is for carving of some sort. It is just a slip joint, but I believe that this blade shape is for carving. And then I have this beautiful like purple one that is just absolutely gorgeous. It's got a couple blade shapes in it. Honestly guys, I bought both these because I thought these was pretty. And these are knives that I do carry in my pocket from time to time, but I just think they're gorgeous knives. So that's why I bought them. Case makes some really pretty stuff. And my good buddy over there, Mari, I always say his name wrong and I feel really bad about it, but we've had some good laughs together. We've had some good conversations. After sitting down with him, I kind of understood the brand a lot more and it was really cool. So on the note of case and that whole thing, I also have a kickstart. So this is an assisted one-handed case knife with a pocket clip. And you know, there was just something about this knife that spoke to me. You can see the blade, like I do carry this knife. And I don't know, just something about it. Like it's a tip down carry, you know, the action isn't the best action you're ever gonna get in a knife, but there's something about the classic styling and the fact that you can like, it locks and the fact that you can open it with one hand that really drew me to it. Reminded me of knives I carried as a kid. So Kickstart's cool little knife. And then next, this here is actually really cool. Let me get these blades out here. So this is the calf pen. This knife is really cool because this was a gift that was given to me. I was working with a graphic designer named Brett, really good dude. We worked on a ton of stuff together and he ended up coming back and visiting me a little while later and he actually gave me this knife, which was super cool of him. So I don't know a ton about the design, the here, the how, the now, the why, But I do carry this knife, I really do like it. And I do know that it does have that kind of like pant opening cutout on it. So you can take this, you're not gonna be able to see me do it, but you can put it on the edge of your pants and you can open it one-handed. And if I remember the story with this, it was for Civil War veterans that had lost an arm. It was this was designed so that they could open their knives one-handed because they didn't have a way to open knives one-handed back in the day. So anyways, cool little knife, fun story, and it's got a standard screwdriver on it, which is also pretty cool. So really cool design, really cool knife. One I carry pretty often actually when I'm carrying more of a slip joint. Okay, oh dude, we're just gonna jump here. This is a family. I'm pulling this family out together, guys. Okay, so we talked a little bit about those cold steel balisongs, which I just love those things. They're just so weird and I don't know. And like, you know, kind of like I was saying about steel will, I haven't really kept up on cold steel. I know that Lynn Thompson isn't as involved, or he sold it, something like that. But I've got like a handful of really rad knives from cold steel. So I've got this 4MAX Scout, which is a beast. It's got the triad lock on it. It's just massive. Again, there's the dark science that allows this thing to fit in your pocket really, like, surprisingly well. I've got an SR1 light. Absolutely love this knife. Again, a beast of a knife. I mean, look at the blade stock on that thing. Thing's crazy. Really good, great knife. And then I've got my 8015 with the Scorpion lock. So that's the Scorpion lock. And then I have no idea what this thing is called, but I'm gonna show you guys anyways. I bet it has it. It's called the Lucky. This is actually a really cool knife. This cold steel knife is directly responsible for the reason that I carry my Victorinox every day, because I found this to be a really handy little second blade to throw in my pocket, and it really got me thinking about second blades. Also, going back to the idea of serrations, which is kind of cool. So that is rad. And then we have the Airlight, which if you can't tell, I've been using this for construction work because it's a great hard use knife that you know, can take a beating and won't cost me a fortune if I lose it or beat it up. And as you can see, it's great for cutting drywall. Specifically, that Tonto tip is awesome for that. So anyways, here's the thing, guys, is there was kind of a year where I was doing a lot of stuff with cold steel, which was really fun. It was like a ton of fun. And Lynn Thompson came and visited us and we did some work with him. And we were at, man, it was like a Brazilian place where they like bring out all the food. Rodizio, I think was what it was called. We were at Rodizio Grill. I think that's what it's called. Anyways, so we're sitting there and we're eating, right? And this is the kind of the place where like you put out a little flag or whatever and it tells them to bring you more meat, right? I don't know if you guys know this, but, and I might be misspeaking, but I'm 99% positive on this. Lynn Thompson actually grew up in Brazil for a few years. Like I think his like formidable years, like 0-ish to like 8 or 9 or something like that. He grew up in Brazil. I think he speaks Portuguese, which I didn't know. I think his parents were down there. I don't know if they were like missionaries of some sort or if they were working, but anyways, they were in Brazil. He spent a lot of time in Brazil, so he knew how to order off menu at this place. He was ordering chicken hearts. It was awesome. Anyways, so we sit down to eat, big meal. Lynn Thompson's big dude, right? And so we get talking, right? And we're just kind of going back and forth. And and like, one of his guys taps out, like one of his video guys or something taps out, and he's like, oh, that's all for me. And Lynn kind of gave him a hard time for it. He's like, oh, you can't keep up on, not mad enough. And so I'm thinking like, well, I'm not gonna tap out then, right? Like I'm not gonna be the guy, right? So anyway, so eating, another guy taps out, Lynn makes fun of him. Another guy taps out, last guy taps out, Lynn makes fun of him. Not mean, like not harsh, but like makes fun of him. So anyways, blah, blah, blah. So then we like meet. And guys, I'm getting full. Like I'm feeling it, right? Like it's to my eyeballs, right? Just holding down this food, but I'm not stopping. And I kind of feel, and I could be wrong, but I kind of feel like Lynn was pushing me. I feel like he was seeing how far, like, he's like, am I gonna be the guy that eats the most at this table? And I'm like, it ain't gonna happen. Like I'm gonna throw up or I'm gonna eat the most. Like there's only two options here. There's no tapping out at this point, right? So we get to the end of the meat, right? And Lynn looks at me and he goes, so do you want dessert? And I was like, yeah, what are you getting? So he orders this like huge chunk of chocolate cake. I put down the chocolate cake and I am sick at this point, right? Just absolutely sick, but I'm playing it cool, right? At least I think I am, I'm playing it cool. And Lynn sits back, big belly laugh, right? And he goes, man, you're a lot like me. And he's like, let's go. And I was like, dude, like it was such like a nice like thing for Lynn to say. So anyways, on that trip, he actually ended up giving me this 8015. I can't remember if one of his guys had it and he was carrying it and then he gave it to me, or if it came straight out of his pocket. But this was a gift from Lynn Thompson, which is really cool. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And then, you know, these other knives that are mixed in, some of them were gives, I bought some of them, but we also went and did another thing with them where we went to Cold Steel and we were like working with them on, there was like some guy that Lynn Thompson was training with that had like worked on the Power Rangers and like all these ninja movies and stuff, and he was like an actual real sword master. We learned how to cut mats and we learned how to test knives, and like, it was just a good time. So all of those knives end up in my pocket a lot, but all of those knives also, like, a lot of fond memories with those things. Great knives. All right, here we go. I shouldn't be looking so much. Okay, we're just gonna go and we're just gonna grab a fixed blade. Okay, we got a good one here. Okay, sweet. So this knife, I know you're all jealous right now. So this knife, I traded at a Boy Scout rendezvous years ago when I was younger. I had one of the Gerbers that like flicked out. My dad bought it for me. It was like a $50, $60, $70 knife. Definitely the most expensive knife my dad had ever bought me. Some dude swindled me out of my money. I had a really nice, it was like a Schrade or a Buck 110 folder in a leather sheath, and that Gerber, and he traded me for this Pakistan blade garbage, basically. So frost cutlery, whatever. So I've kept it as a reminder and as a lesson. And I told my dad that story years later. When I came back from Boy Scout camp, he didn't know that the knives were missing, and then he asked, I don't know, probably a few months later, and I kind of played it off, and then years later I told him the full story. But anyways, this is my frost cutlery monster. But the cool thing is, my dad, knowing the full story, he actually had a guy in the valley that we were living in at the time. Let's see, it was T.S. Kistner in Overton, Nevada, where we were living. He had the guy make me a sheath for this knife, which was really cool, because I totally had like $100, $150 a knife stolen from me by some adult at a scouting event, and on, you know, not a great knife. And my dad still had this leather sheath made for me, which is awesome. I should carry this thing more often. I really just saved this one just as a reminder, right, of a lesson. But something really cool about that, actually I have a tie-in to that. One of you guys actually heard that story and sent me this Schrade folder to replace the knife that was taken from me at the Boy Scout camp, which was really cool. So yeah, this is just like a cool Schrade folder. I don't know, it's an Uncle Henry, but I don't know what name or whatever it is. But yeah, one of you guys sent me this after hearing that story to replace the Schrade folder that dude swindled me out of. So, you know, I say it all the time. The knife community is just full of the best people, and it's a great example of it. So this Schrade folder I actually do carry, I have carried. It didn't come with the sheath, so sometimes I'll put it in my Buck 110 sheath, or I'll just throw it in pocket if I'm wearing a pair of jeans, because it's heavy, but you know, it works as an in-pocket knife. Speaking of Buck 110s, I have one. Let's see, and this is top 5. This is top 5 favorite knives right here. So this is my Buck 110 Auto this is in brass and micarta. Absolutely love this thing, and I love the quirkiness of it. I love that it's an auto, but you still have the back lock, and you have to do this to move it. So this knife is my motorcycle knife. I take this knife with me every time I'm on my motorcycle, because the other Buck knife I have that's usually my 110 knife is in need of a little love right now. But yeah, great knife, love it. Buck 110 Auto, do it all day, every day. Comes with a really nice leather sheath, and you know, made in the USA, so you can't go wrong. I mean, shoot, I'll just show you guys my other motorcycle knife then. So this, I'm seeing if you guys could see how bad the edge is on this thing right now. I don't know if you can, but anyways, this is my Buck 120 fixed blade. This was my dad's knife. I think a lot of you guys know the story on this thing, so I won't go into it too much. This was my first grail knife as a kid. I would see this knife, I always wanted to take it from my dad. I always wanted to sneak it out of his truck. I never did. I respected my dad. This is an awesome knife. I love this thing. I use it all the time for all sorts of purposes. Well, I used it all the time for all sorts of purposes. I took it to a guy that like really massacred the edge on this thing. And I have a new sharpener that I think I can fix it. I feel like I'm confident enough to fix this thing. But along with that, the sheath here, which again, my dad bought this knife in the 70s, the sheath finally gave out after a couple motorcycle trips in the rain and kind of beating it up. So I need to replace the strap on this as well. Buck actually reached out to me and they were like, hey, do you want to like have it fixed? And I was like, hey, like, what if I come to you guys and do like a motorcycle adventure or something? So maybe in the future we'll do something with Buck and the Buck 120 and you know, have a good time. So we'll see how it goes. Because I like Idaho, I'd love to go up to Idaho and check them out. All right, let's see. Okay, cool. So we have a CRKT. This is a field strip. This is the HVOS. This is a Voxnez design. I love Jesper, great guy. And the field strip technology, if I remember correctly, it's Ken Onion designed this technology. And basically what it is, I'm just gonna show you guys really quick. You move this lever right here, and then you can take the knife apart in the field, hence the name. Guys, and I haven't done this in a while, so like, I don't know. Am I supposed to do something else? No. Oh yeah. There's a little turning on the end as well. As you can tell, I don't field strip this knife ever. So anyways, it is pretty cool though. So you can take the knife completely apart in the field and bada bing, bada boom. I think this is a really cool knife. I think it's a really cool design. Well, let me correct myself actually on that. The knife is neat. It's like a good design, like the general design, like the Voxnez design. And then I think that the field strip technology is also neat. I don't really carry this knife very often, but I do think that the field strip technology is really intriguing. And like I said, I love Jesper. He's a great guy, great designs. I mean, speaking of Jesper, let's see, where is it at? Here we go. Here's the real good stuff, guys. So this is my giant mouse. This is the Ace Biblio. Awesome knife, M390, Micarta handles, great pocket clip. This is just a user all the way around. And if you can't tell, I use it pretty often. So great knife by Jesper. And like I said, I love Jesper. He's a really solid dude. I've had the opportunity to spend some time with him. Went to lunch with him a couple times, seen him at Blade Show a couple times. And yeah, just always love what he's, I'm always picking up what he's putting down. Let's put it that way. All right, we have an OTF here. You know, guys, funny story. I don't have any like high level great OTFs. Which is kind of interesting because there are some OTFs that I like, but I'll tell you what, Guardian Tactical makes my favorite OTF, and they just never, I just literally can't ever have it in stock. Like when I don't have the money, it's in stock, and when I have the money, it's not in stock. So, I mean, you guys can probably feel my pain on this. But this is a Boker OTF. I think this might be a prototype from when they were kind of testing out their different OTFs. D2 blade. I think it's really nice and snappy. I think that it's honestly, like, it's a good functioning OTF, but I have a thing about visual balance between your blade and your handle on an OTF knife. And the blade and the handle on this are not balanced. So this is just not my jam, to be 100% honest. But I have it because it was a prototype. It was something I was helping test out. I do carry this knife from time to time because, again, I don't really have a great OTF selection. I think I only have one other OTF. So yeah, so I do carry it from time to time, but the action, as you can hear, is like really good, but just kind of not my thing visually. But you know, that's fine. Not every knife is for everybody. But speaking of OTFs and the OTF that I have and love, this is my AKC F16. Absolutely love this OTF. A little more twangy than the Boker. But this particular one, I gave the Zach Special, so it's got a skull on it, it's got my maker mark, it's got some pizza markings on the side, it's got a Slurpee motif on this side, and then on the back, it has Headlopper from the Headlopper comic books. If you haven't checked them out, make sure to check them out. It's a great graphic novel, a lot of fun. I think there's 3 or 4 of them now. But anyways, the F16, I mean, here's the thing, guys. In my opinion, you can't really do better for a $50 or $60 OTF knife. The F16, the AKC just blows basically everything else out of the park. There are a couple of good options out there, but man, I really like the F16. So anyways, AKC F16, great knife. I carry that often in the summertime. It really is like a Slurpee and pizza knife for me. I love like taking slices of watermelon and just like eating slices of watermelon off of it. I don't know why, it's just something I do with that knife. Okay, talking about knife loves. Here is my Victorinox Compact. No reason to go into this too much. You guys know a lot about this. If you want to know more about my Compact, check out the channel. I have a whole video on putting the micarta scales on this thing, but I'm just gonna say it right now, hands down, the best pocket multi-tool on the market, period. I mean, let me know in the comments if you have a better one, but there's basically nothing better than that knife, in my personal opinion. I've carried I've carried a lot. I've carried a lot of those. Here, we got a family here. Let's see. I'm just gonna pull all of these because they were all together. Huh, that's nice. Ooh, I see what we're gonna talk about next as well. All right, so of course I've got a Civivi Elementum. I've actually had a lot of Civivi Elementums. I tend to give them away a lot. My last brass one, I met somebody who like knew me from YouTube. Really cool dude, and so I just gave him the knife out of my pocket. So yeah, this is currently my only Civivi Elementum. I mean, this is, in my opinion, I think this is one of the best EDC pocket knives that you can get for the price. Really, do you need more than this? I mean, D2 blade, G10 handles, deep carry pocket clip, like, it's pretty stellar. It's a pretty stellar knife. So that is from Civivi. Also from Civivi, I have my Rustic Gent, and I think, no, this isn't the one. I thought I had a Rustic Gent that had my name on it, but this one does not. So Rustic Gent, this is a great in-pocket carry. This is something that I carry pretty often as well. This is carbon fiber and my Carta handle. This is a backlock. And here's the thing, like, I'm not a big traditional guy, so I'm not gonna pretend that I know everything, but it's got a really nice half stop and it's got a really nice walk and talk. And I really like a nice walk and talk, and I really like a nice half stop with my traditional style knives. So the Rustic Gent, I think, knocks it out of the park. I really love this knife, carried it really often. About a year and a half ago, I started a gig where I was working around a lot of like supercars and stuff. I know, kind of weird, but I'm like literally like standing next to like $1 million cars on the daily, and I really didn't want a pocket clip scratching those cars up. So while I was just getting used to like being in this new environment, I actually carried the Rustic Gent every single day and really liked it. The cases also got some play, that GEC got some play, but yeah, good knife. Rustic Gent's a great knife. All right, and then we have this knife, which, to be honest, I cannot remember the name of. I feel really bad about that. I'm not even sure if they still make this knife. It's been a long time. So this knife, it's a WE knife, and I love the guys and gals over at WE and Civivi. Just absolute stellar people. I love them. I love them so much. The reason that I have this knife, again, was actually some product testing. So this knife I thought was really interesting because it has this, it's not a bearing, but it's a wheel. It has this wheel on the end of the pocket clip. And this is kind of a classic, like, older style WE knife. You know, we did a lot of like very weird designs for a while, and they still do some of them, and I love that. I think the knife world needs that type of thing. But anyways, it's got this like really interesting wheel on the end of the pocket clip, and I was really intrigued to see how it would hold up. I mean, I'm like crawling under cars, I'm, you know, crawling in attics, I'm lifting up transmissions, I'm doing all sorts of stuff like that. And I was really intrigued to see how this would handle being abused, basically, and held up like a champ. So this knife is in my collection because I had it for testing purposes. But again, it's kind of one of those fun knives that's in my collection that, like, if somebody's looking through my knives, they'll be like, wait, what's that? And we can have the conversation. And then finally, I have this awesome slip joint from WE. Absolutely love this thing. Just a great knife. Again, really nice half stop, really nice walk and talk. And this knife is actually what kind of brought me back around to carrying slip joints. So when you combined this knife and you combine this cold steel knife, you get the Victorinox Compact. I would have never discovered the Compact if I wasn't willing to have carried and tried out these knives. And that's kind of a fun thing. Like, sometimes it's cool to like carry a knife that maybe you wouldn't be into just to see how you like it, because it led me to one of the most versatile pocket knives that I have in my pocket on a regular basis. But yeah, absolutely love this thing. Just stellar design. Great walk and talk, great everything. And again, got me carrying slip joints. I mean, let's just, what we got here? Oh, actually, this is more WE Civivi, but also not more WE Civivi. So this is the WE Banter. This is my buddy Ben Banter. This is his design from Knafs Co, Knafs. Great knife, great EDC knife. I think they run for like 110 bucks or something like that. I think it's an S35 VN blade, got G10 handles, deep carry pocket clip. You got the patented, no, not really, but recessed screws on the pocket clip. And you know, it's just got Ben's twist on it. I think that it's been called like the Toyota Camry of knives, just kind of plain boring, but gets the job done. And really, like, in a little bit of a nicer material list and a little bit of a different profile, this is very similar to the Civivi Elementum in a lot of ways, but great knife. Liner lock, you know, the whole thing. And then also, this knife is actually a stolen knife, at least for right now. I recently did a entire video on Ben's new lander. If you haven't checked that out, go check out the lander video on my page. As far as I know, I'm the only one that's got my hands on one, and I kind of do like a whole use review. We talk about the specs, we take it to space, no big deal. Probably like the first, knife review in 0 Gs. This is a VV Baby Banter, and I mean, it's just a smaller version of the regular Banter. That's what you get. To be honest, it's a little too compact for me, but I was using it for size comparison. I borrowed it from Ben, and I need to return it to him, but it's here in my knife box, so you guys get to see it. All right, let's see. Ooh, another multi-tool. So this is my Leatherman Surge. First, this case. I absolutely love this thing. I was recently on Leatherman's website. I don't think that they sell these sheaths anymore. And so I really, really, really love this sheath. I usually carry it kind of a scout carry through the belt here. Really great knife. And then, the Surge. I'm not gonna pull out all the tools. I'm not gonna show you guys everything, but I think this is the best, most versatile multi-tool that you can buy to carry on your hip. It's tough, it keeps on going. It's got every tool in it that you need and none that you don't. I think that I use every single tool in this thing regularly. Oh, you know what? Actually, I think this has an awl in it. I have used this for many things, but never for sewing leather. And I will probably never use it for sewing leather. But I have used it, so it is a useful tool. I just love the Surge. Great tool. And if you can't tell from the sheath, it's been on my hip for years. I carry it for any hard use stuff that I need to do. So yeah, really love that thing. All right, ooh, okay. So this is a Solingen Boker knife. And this is a castle knife. So let me open it up really quick, because this is actually a really special knife. Okay, so this knife, me and Jamie a little while back had an opportunity to go to Solingen, I don't speak German, so this is called Solingen. Solingen, Germany, where Boker Knives is located, and we had an awesome time. We were over there with Kirsten and Karsten, brother and sister. Karsten and his family, they own Boker Knives. Absolutely love them. If you guys happen to be watching, love you guys. And yeah, this knife is, the wood on this knife is actually made from a castle that is there in Solingen, Germany. So what happens is they do these restorations on the castle, and the way that it was explained to us, we actually got to go tour the castle and go in all these rooms, and it was just the 3 of us. It was me, Jamie, and Karsten, and then the tour guide. So I guess 4 people. So we got kind of this private tour, which was awesome because Boker does a lot of work with the castle. And basically what happens is they start restoration on one side of the castle and they work their way to the other side. And by the time they get to this side of the castle, it's time to start the restoration on this side again. They're just really old and need a lot of work. They were getting rid of a bunch of lumber, so Boker approached and was like, hey, can we have lumber from this castle? They're like, sure. So the wood on this is actually from the castle there in Solingen, Germany. So a really special knife. It was an awesome time. That was actually my first time going anywhere foreign that wasn't Canada or Mexico. So yeah, really special times, and great people over at Boker Knives. Absolutely love everybody that we met and everybody that we dealt with. On the note of, I saw this knife in here. On the note of Boker, and specifically Kirsten over at Boker, I actually think this knife I'm supposed to give to Kurt, or was supposed to give to Kurt, but it ended up in my collection somehow. Kurt, if you're watching this and you want this knife, let me know, buddy, and I'll get it over to you. But anyways, I have no idea what this knife is called. It's just tiny. And this was because of Kurt's ham hands. Kirsten sent this over to us for a review, for Kurt to review because of his ham hands. And so it ended up in my collection, and here we go. Again, just good people over at Boker. And that's kind of the thing, is a lot of the knives in my collection, because I've worked in the industry for a long time, have some tie to the industry or the people in the industry, which I absolutely love. They're really cool, they're really rad, but they also they have stories. Okay, I've got a whole boatload of Benchmades. I mean, not a whole boatload. I'm sure a lot of you have way more Benchmades than this, but just really quick, let me show off these things. So I've got a mediator. Let me do that one more time. How's that? So I've got this mediator, it's an S90V blade, great knife, love this knife. I love the profile of it, I love everything about it, I love the snap, I love the action. To be honest, there's not much that Benchmade makes that I don't like. It may not be for me, but I can still appreciate it because I think they're really well constructed. This is my bug out. I mean, this is a tried and true at this point, classic in the knife world. Really cool thing is this is actually an R&D bug out, which is really cool. It might have been on the same shoot that we did the Puko thing with Dutch Bushcraft knives. But anyways, Hans over at Benchmade got us some R&D knives, again, just doing some testing. And yeah, I've had this thing in my pocket for a long time. Really, really great knife. And I should say, they had already done all the testing. I wasn't doing testing for Benchmade, but he had some R&D knives that they used for testing that he gave us, which was really cool. And then I've got a Benchmade proper. I mean, this was one of the things that really kicked off the whole idea of like a modern traditional, I think on like a bigger scale. So you had smaller companies that were doing modern traditionals, but the proper was kind of a signifier that like, oh, okay, Benchmade, one of the big boys, is playing this game now too. So, I mean, stellar knife, keep this in my pocket really often. It's got good walk and talk. It's got a nice half stop. To be honest, both of my Wiis, I like the walk and talk on them better than I like the walk and talk on the proper, but I absolutely love this knife. It's gorgeous. It used to have a leather lanyard on it. I don't know where that went, but I do carry it pretty often in my pocket, especially when I need that. All right, and then, you know, we wouldn't be complete if we didn't pop this bad boy off. Let's see if I can see. So we got that blade. So one blade on the axis lock, and then I used to be able to, woohoo, there it is. So S35, S30V blade, and then a 3V blade with kind of an interesting serration. I think it might be like a patented Benchmade serration. I honestly can't remember. And a really awesome pry tip. I absolutely love this knife. I don't think they make it anymore. But yeah, being two blades running on one axis lock. And then it didn't really pertain to me much, but it does have a seatbelt cutter on it too, which is pretty cool. So seatbelt cutter built into the handle there, and then a glass breaker on the end. And I'll tell you right now, I actually don't like glass breaker at all. It's like the one flaw to this knife is you hit your hand on it pretty often. It's a pretty chunky knife to go in your pocket. Fits fine, but like getting into your pocket sometimes, especially with all the chunk, that glass breaker there can actually be a pretty big bugger. So really love this knife, great knife. I'm not sure they make it anymore, but in the collection. I use that pretty often. And then finally, let's see, it's an M4 blade. I was trying to remember. So finally we got the M4 blade here, aluminum handles, deep carry pocket clip, great knife. Same complaint with this though, is the glass breaker is just a little too sharp. And I don't know, let me know, do you guys like do you guys have glass breakers on your knives? Do you like glass breakers on your knives? I've never been in a situation where I have needed a glass breaker, which I guess is a really good thing. But I guess it's also one of those things that like, if you need it, you're really gonna want it. And I feel like it'd probably be more useful to like help somebody else out than maybe help myself out. I don't know. Let me know what your opinions are on glass breakers, because to be honest, most of the knives that I have that have glass breakers on them, it feels like they're just more in the road and like kind of cutting in your hand more than doing any sort of good. Oh, sweet. So this is my Protech SBR. This is, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, the SBR is my favorite knife from Protech. This one actually, my good friend Dave over there, he actually put my name on the handle here, and they put a pearl button on it for me, which was really nice. Absolutely the SBR, great automatic knife. I mean, if you know anything about Protech, Protech makes, I think, just some of the best automatic knives on the market, like hands down. Let's see, what do I have back here? Okay, here we go. We're just gonna grab these in a bunch. Guys, you thought I was joking when I said this was gonna be a long video. I wasn't joking. I got a lot of knives. All right, let's see if we can remember what all of these are. This is the Kizer Yorkie. Really great knife, full titanium construction. I'm trying to remember what the blade steel is on this. It's a Laconico design, I know that. S35. So it's S35 blade, sleek little knife. I carry this thing from time to time, kind of dress things up a little bit. I've always wanted to do some anodization on this, and I always thought it would be really cool to do some sort of like something to the blade, like I don't know what I would do, but just so that when the blade was closed, like the little window here would show off whatever you put on the blade. Cool knife there. And then I have an orange peel. This is also a full titanium knife. I'm probably S35, yeah, S35. And this is the Gemini. And you know, I really like the hardware here. Again, great solid Kizer knife. These kind of fall within the more normal style knives that Kizer has done. Both of them are kind of older designs, but I like them both. I carry them both pretty often. I really like how slender this Gemini is in particular. I think it's just classy and slim. And it's really light too, even though it's got a lot of metal. And then finally, I have 2 separate sheepdogs, or mini sheepdogs. So I have a dressed up titanium version, and then I have the micarta version. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I mean, guess which one do I carry more? I carry the micarta one more. To be honest, it's a little bit lighter, and I just like the looks of it a lot more. But before I got the micarta one, I did carry my like more premium mini sheepdog a lot more often, but I don't really carry the titanium one often. I do carry the micarta one very regularly. Love those knives. I love the sheepdog. The sheepdog is, I mean, I have an XL. I've got the minis. All right, that's a lot of folders. Let's pull out a couple, I'm gonna reach into the fixed blade drawer here now for a little bit. All right, so this is, when we're talking about Grail knives, you know, funny story, as far as folders go, the HK Mini Axis is the only knife I can think of that's a folder that I like drooled over for a long period of time. However, the Tops Tracker, and you guys can see I have loved this one greatly. This knife was a knife that I drooled over for a very long time. So I found out about Tom Brown when I was pretty young. I got a couple of his books. I read about him. I know there's some controversy. Did Tom Brown this? That? It's not important to me. I don't care. I really like the Tracker knife. I thought the movie Hunted was really fun. I've talked with some survival experts out there, and they actually really like the Tracker as well, like practically as a good knife. And I don't know. Like, I think the movie was really fun. I think that Tom Brown's an interesting character, even if some of these stories are fictional, right, that he's told. And I'm not saying they are or aren't. Honestly, I just don't care about drama. But even if they are or aren't, I think that there's a lot of motivation there. I think there's a lot of inspiration there to kind of get up and like do your thing, right? And I remember, who was I talking with? I think I was talking with Joe Flowers. And he was saying the same thing. Like, he really likes the Tracker. He thought the Hunted movie was great. You know, and then, you know, on the Tom Brown thing, I don't think he levied any opinions, but I think he just kind of agreed that, like, you know, interesting character, right? So anyways, Tom Brown Tracker, absolutely love this knife. I actually tried to carry this as a motorcycle knife for a while, but there's definitely something, I think, more intimidating. So like, you have this vertically on your hip, right? And I feel like, okay, cool, like that guy's carrying a fixed blade, you know what I mean? And then you have this like horizontally on your back. And I feel like this feels like, I don't know, there's something about scout carry that just feels more like aggressive or like, I don't know, like warrior-esque. I don't know what it is. There's just something about carrying scout that I feel like is more intimidating. And I'm not out to intimidate people. That's not my goal in life. I like having conversations and having a good time. So I do not use this as a motorcycle knife. I did try, but I ended up not digging it as a motorcycle knife. Plus, kind of droops on the lower back when you're sitting on the bike and you sit on the knife, blah, blah, blah. But Tom Brown Tracker, excellent, excellent fixed blade knife, lives up to everything. Speaking of excellent fixed blade knives and also a Tops knife, I've got a Tops Bob. I can't remember if it's like a Bob. Let's see. I think it's just a regular Bob. No, there's different ones. Anyways, so Bob stands for the Brothers of Bushcraft. I got this knife because I was really interested in like the fire stick hole. I was really interested in the way that they do the striker on the end. I was really interested in the whole idea of like the Brothers of Bushcraft philosophy. Basically like a group of guys that have gotten together to create knives that are purpose-built for the things that they're doing out in the bush and out in the field. And doesn't disappoint. I really, really love this knife. I mean, it is a chunk of 154 cm. The micarta is really comfortable. Overall, just comfortable in the hand. I really enjoy this knife. I've done a lot of bushcrafting with this thing. I think the last thing that I did with this actually was process an antelope. Was the last thing that I did with this particular knife. And then, you know, it's got a nice sheath and it comes with a ferro rod, which is pretty cool. So you can get some shavings and you can make some strikes. So magnesium and ferro, which is pretty cool. So honestly, anything fixed blade from Tops is absolutely incredible. They had that like awesome machete sword that came out, man. I still need to get one of those. It's still like, it's on the list. All right, let's see. We got kind of another selection of knives here. So many knives. All right, okay, cool. So this knife, so this is a TJ Schwartz design. TJ Schwartz, awesome dude, love that guy, great knife designer. So this is the parascale, and the idea with this knife was that you could wrap your paracord around a folder and still be able to have paracord with a folder. Now, this particular one was made for me by my buddy Ryan over at CRKT, or the CRKT team. Love those dudes over there. We have again, at the end of this video, I've got something CRKT that I think is gonna blow your mind. But anyways, this is a pretty cool knife because you can wrap your knife in paracord, so you have paracord on you with your pocket knife, but obviously it's a folder, right? But it doesn't go in the middle here. So there's a particular way to lace it, kind of like you lace a shoe, and then you can put as long of an end on it as you like. So I think the Periscope is a really neat knife, and I'm trying to remember the name of the lock on this one. Deadbolt, I'm pretty sure. We've done a lot of knives already. My brain is fried. So yeah, deadbolt lock on this knife. Really cool one-handed knife and really, really strong lock. I know the CRKT gets a little grief sometimes, but I think that there are a lot of great designs in the CRKT lineup personally. All right, so I've got a Pelarge. This is a knife that I use from time to time. To be honest, it usually sits on the top of the box. And it's kind of the knife that I grab just like to cut things at the house if I just need a knife to cut things with. This is just a blade show knife. I mean, just like, but it's a blade show knife. So these were always really cool. Anytime you go to, or sorry, SHOT Show. This is a SHOT Show knife. Anytime you go to SHOT Show, CRKT usually has some sort of a giveaway knife. And yeah, with a Pelarge. Just throw it around, no big deal. And then, of course, I have some smaller Pelars as well. So 2 different smaller Pelars. I have one in the G10 and then I have one with a custom micarta scale. This micarta scale is from Carbodice, I believe is who I got the micarta scale from. Great knives. I have 2 of them for a reason. I carry them often. I love those knives. I think they're just epic designs. And then finally, we have, this was a SHOT Show knife as well. So this is the CRKT Sketch. I actually have carried this knife a bit here and there. I like the design of it. I like the feel of it. Kind of going back to that Kizer Gemini. I mean, a little bit obviously different on the material scale, but you know, nice slim knife. I like the pop of color. There was a lot of fun stuff going on in this era of CRKT that I was enjoying. So yeah, let's see. Ooh, looks like we got a couple Bokers left up. Ooh, we actually have a special Boker. I told you I had some Safe Queens in here. So anyways, this is it's a Vox design, and the name is 100% eluding me. This is the second knife I can't remember the name on. Great Vox design though. I really do love this knife. Nice, snappy Boker. Just great knife all the way around. And can't remember the name. So let me know the name because I'm a silly idiot. All right, but I do know the name of this one. So this is Quaken from Lucas Burnley. I love Lucas. I'm hoping that maybe I could do something on this channel with Lucas. Go up to his shop, make some stuff. I don't know. If you guys want to see that, let me know. I absolutely love this brass micarta again. And you know, it's like, it's got a little bit of heft to it, but it's not too heavy. And it's really classy. Great action. Really love this knife. That's another great one from Boker. And finally from Boker, I don't know, finally in the box, but finally from what I pulled out just now, this is my Safe Queen. This is the illustrious Boker Mermaid. You guys knew I had one of these. So I was working on a team for a while where the rule was you couldn't buy yourself a Boker Mermaid. So I never was able to buy one. I talked about them, I gave them to you know, coworkers and friends and stuff like that, but I never owned one for years. Never owned one. And then finally the team got together and decided I had earned my Boker Mermaid, and they gave me one, which was really, really cool. And something special about this particular one is that actually the whole team at the time signed my box, which was really special. So I don't really carry this knife very often. I do actually carry this knife from time to time. There are appropriate times to carry this knife, but I don't carry very often. Kind of sits in the box more than anything. But yeah, absolutely love this thing. I'm actually just gonna put it back up here because it is actually a very special knife to me. I don't want it to get it messed up, but last knife in that drawer. So Hogue micro switch, had it locked. So this is the Hogue micro switch. I love this knife, period. I think this is a stellar automatic knife, all American made, great design. The guys over at Hogue's are great dudes. And this knife in particular, I actually went hitchhiking around with this thing, went to Hogue factory in California, hung out with Neil Hogue, absolutely awesome dude, love that guy. And then flew his plane from Hogue California to Hogue in Henderson, Nevada, where they do production of their automatic knives. And then I actually traded some knives and hitchhiked basically back up to Utah, trading knives along the way for rides. It was a ton of fun. And this was the knife that I had in my pocket the entire time. Great Hogue design. The funny story is I was going through my box, I realized this is the only Hogue knife I own, which is actually like a travesty because they make some really stellar designs. So I'm gonna have to up my Hogue game and get some more because I really do enjoy those knives a lot. And again, great people over there. You guys have heard me say it more than once, like just because somebody's a good person doesn't mean that you should buy their knives, but you know, it's a nice little cherry on top of the cake. I've got a handful of SD classics here. And I actually have a couple more. I've got one from my buddy Talon Sai. I've got one from Frankie and Bird. I love them. I've got a couple others, but they're just kind of spread about in different areas. I actually had to hunt these ones down to get these ones out, but we got a Desert Warrior, we got a Mermaid, and we have a Continue Mission one. So love these knives. Great little SD classics. They come in handy for any little thing. I don't use them on the daily. I know a lot of people will use them as keychains, but you know, they go in little packs and stuff like that. I have this knife here. This was actually given to me by Ben, my good buddy Ben Banters. It was given to me as just a gift of like, hey, I think this is the knife for you. This is like kind of when we first met, and it was like a little ritual that we had where we'd give the new guy a new knife. And this one's kind of a MacGyver knife, so I don't know what Victorinox this is. It's got a lot of different tools and stuff in it, but mainly I was given it because it has a bunch of tools and then it has a pen in it. I never carried this knife. I love you, Ben, but I just never carried this knife. I might have carried a little bit just to be kind, but I have kept it because it was a gift and it was from my buddy. But it has a pen built into the handle. It don't work. I was gonna show you guys, but there's no, pen won't come out. But usually the pen is supposed to come out this side. I'm not sure why it doesn't work because I don't carry it. Chubby little Victorinox. Ooh, wait a minute. Did I just remember the name of a knife? Boker Compact. This is the Boker Compact with a K. I'm 99% sure that's the name of this knife. See, I knew it. I just had to get into it. I carry this knife pretty often too. Boker Compact. This is a Boker Compact with a K. Awesome little knife. All right, what do we have here? Oh, okay, so like I said, I only had 2 OTFs. I guess that wasn't true. I've got 3 OTFs. I think somebody sent me this knife. It's an awesome knife, but it's a comb. It does have a glass breaker on the end of it. I have actually carried this a couple times, but again, as a gift, it's a knife that ends up in my box and kind of just sits there. More of a conversation piece than anything else. But yeah, great little comb OTF action going on there. All right, we have got, my Leatherman Wave Plus. So I do have 2 Leatherman. So this is my Leatherman Wave Plus. Cool knife, keep it in my EDC kit, love it. It's lighter than the Surge, so it's not a knife or a multi-tool that I have to have on me regularly. That is the one that I will carry in my EDC kit. If I need something that's for like a specific job or for like work that I'm doing, I will throw the Surge on my hip. Let's see here, that's Mermaid territory. Let's go back to the fixed blades. Guys, I have so many knives. All right, this is the FC 3.5 by White River Knives. White River makes some incredible knives, and I really love this thing. I don't use it a ton, but I do use it. Enjoy carrying it. Nice compact little fixed blade. I'll tell you what I do carry more often than this that is a compact little fixed blade, and that is my Tops Bull Trout. This is burlap micarta, and then probably a 154 cm blade. Now the cool thing about this is Tops has a little competition that they do every year with their employees, and they have their employees design a knife around an idea. And whichever employee knife gets the most votes, they make that knife. So this was actually an employee that designed this knife, and it became a great little fixed blade. So it comes in a nice little leather sheath, and I've been meaning, I had a lanyard on the end of this, and I ended up having to cut it off to use the leather for something else. But I've been meaning to put a new leather lanyard on the end of this, just haven't got around to it. But really like this knife. I like how high it sits on my hip. I like how, I like the belly on the blade. Really love the Bull Trout. Fun little fixed blade here. You guys actually helped me pick this knife. This is a gas station knife. And you guys helped me pick this knife while I was on a road trip. I did a poll and I was like, hey, which knife should I get? And you guys chose this one. So it's just a leather ring handled, classic little gas station knife. I don't think this even has This is a whitetail cutlery knife. I actually did carry this after I purchased it. I carried it for a few days just to carry it for fun. I mean, fine enough. I mean, it is what it is. It's a gas station knife. Let's move up a drawer. Keep this randomizing going. Oh, here we go. All right. We got a little family here. So back over to buck knives. So this is my buck canoe slip joint. I think a lot of you guys already know the story on this thing, but it was an awesome slip joint. I carried this for a while as well while I was a professor teaching college, and blade got broke. Haven't carried it since. Not gonna get rid of it, but hoping maybe I can get up to buck, and maybe we can do something about this thing. We'll see what happens there. And then I have this awesome little buck hunting knife, folding hunting knife that my dad bought me when I was a kid. I still carry this knife. When I go camping and stuff, this knife will end up on my hip from time to time. The Buck 110 Auto has taken the place of this knife in a lot of ways, but I do carry this knife from time to time, especially when I was a kid. Oh man, I would carry this knife and I would carry my hatchet on the other one, and I would like go running through like the woods, well, the desert, because we didn't have woods, and you know, playing Cowboys and Indians or whatever. And then this is a little lockback folder. This is actually another SHOT Show knife that was given away at SHOT Show. And usually with these knives, I will use them to give away to other people, but I kind of like this thing. So this thing will end up in my watch pocket, my coin pocket, my fifth pocket, whatever you want to call that little pocket that's on your jeans. I do carry this around from time to time. It's a handy little folder, a little locking blade on it. To be honest, a lot of my auxiliary knives like this have kind of been replaced by my Victorinox Compact just because it's so dang handy. That drawer is empty, guys. Here, let's do a sweep up top. Let's see what we got. All right, we got a couple accessories, a couple knives. Okay, cool. So this is this artisan? This is an artisan cutlery knife. I thought this was a really intriguing design. I think I first saw this knife at SHOT Show, and my buddy Russell over at Artisan Cutlery loved that dude. And so we were able to get our hands on this thing, try it out. I carried this thing around for a while. I really like this knife. It's a cool design. It's a little more pointy than I usually like my designs, a little more slender in the handle than I personally like, but this is why it's cool. So one-handed opening, flicks open, and it is a slip joint technically, right? It's got a bit of a detent. It has a flipper on the end, which is kind of an interesting design. But you might notice this little lanyard here dangling around, and that's actually so that you could take it from a non-locking knife to a locking knife. Now, obviously, if you measure in hamburgers and freedom, something like this doesn't pertain to you. You kind of be like, why is that a thing? But you know, in a lot of other markets where you can't have a locking knife, I think this is a way for artisan to kind of play with that idea and kind of see, hey, okay, it's not locking, but you can make it locking. But it's not like you flip it open and it locks and it's scary and dangerous, or whatever the reasons are for the different rules that are out there. I think this is a pretty cool design, and it's got great action. It's got a nice detent on the top end. Cool knife. And that is a knife that I actually will still carry from time to time because it's kind of a conversation piece, kind of an interesting thing to show around. These aren't knives, and I've got a lot of different accessories, but I thought this would be a fun way to kind of just show you guys this idea. But I just wanted to like highlight a couple things just really quickly. So my buddy Igor over at MKM, he actually designed this knife pouch, which is really cool. And the reason that it's cool is, let's see, it doesn't really matter what knife we just popped. That's the dumb knife. I guess it does matter. Let me make a better choice. All right, so anyways, this is a cool little rig that he designed. So it's designed to carry a slip joint or whatever, something that may not have a pocket clip on it. Obviously, this knife has a pocket clip on it, but you can put your knife in here. It's made out of a nice suede leather, but the cool thing is that it's magnetic. Check that out. So I just love this slip, so I had to get one, and I will carry some of my slip joints this way. I'll put the slip joint in it, and then I'll put this over the front of my pocket, and I'll just magnet it to it, and it holds all day, and it's just kind of a clever design. I can really enjoy that. And then my buddies over at Big Idea Designs, I've picked up some stuff from them. They've sent me some stuff to check out. I really dig this little wrench that they have. So I just had to highlight it. Again, I have like a bunch of little EDC tools and stuff like that. We won't necessarily look at those, but I had to take 5 seconds, you know, pens. And then my buddy Pete over at Pete's Pirate Life, Peter McKinnon, he sent me this pen, which I absolutely love. And I carried for a long time, except for I ran it over. So I'm gonna fix it, and when I fix it, I will start carrying it again, and I'll have a classier pen in my pocket. But anyways, I just wanna show you kind of some of these cool little accessory things that I had in here as well. And then that kind of leads me into these knives. These are grandpa knives. So this is an old Barlow that my grandpa Jensen actually made for me. And what I mean by made is the main blade on this knife was broken, so he took a hacksaw blade, which you can imagine holds a great edge. He took a hacksaw blade and he repinned it. You can see here where he repinned it. And I was in his tack shed where he did all the work, which was pretty cool. So I remember him making this when I was a kid. I had to have been like eight or nine. He made this knife for me, and I legitimately carried this knife for a good long while. So the small blade still closes really well. The hacksaw blade never really closed great to begin with, but it's gotten really bad with age. So that's just gonna tear your pocket up. So I do not carry this knife, but obviously I would never get rid of this knife because it's a memento. Now, another really cool knife is, this is from my grandpa Crane. Both of them were cowboys. My grandpa Crane actually is like a really interesting person. He was in the Navy during World War II, and he ended up in some pretty intense places. And I was talking to my grandma about him recently, and he was actually like at D-Day, which is really heavy. And then he was also in the Pacific Theater after that. So he saw a lot of action, but really tough dude, really good dude. He passed away when I was like 12 or 13, but taught me a lot about life. One of the reasons that I have all of these pocket knives is actually because of my grandpa Crane. He was shoeing a horse. I was probably same thing, 9, 10, 8, 9, somewhere around the range. Anyways, and he couldn't get to his pocket knife. And he said, pass me your pocket knife. And I said, well, Grandpa, I don't got a pocket. All right, I don't got a pocket knife. And he says, we got a pocket, don't you? And I have had a knife in my pocket ever since, and that's because of Grandpa Crane. So this is a knife that after he passed away, I found, and this is actually, it's a Copenhagen knife. So Grandpa Claude liked his dip, and he apparently collected points or something and got this knife from Copenhagen. And so it's a jackknife, and it's got this broken blade on it, and then it's got this serrated blade on it. So kind of an interesting old knife. I don't know who the original maker of it, but I really want to kind of restore this thing back to its original glory so I can carry it. So that might be something we do here on the channel. Let me know if you guys are interested in that. But Grandpa Crane, he was a real one. He was a smaller guy, and he actually raced horses. Like, he was a straight up like jockey that raced horses, which is pretty cool. Kind of a neat story. After my grandma passed away, this was her husband, Grandpa Crane was. After my grandma passed away, I was at the house and I was going through some documents and stuff, and I found a notebook that was from my grandpa's mom that was from like 1893, which was wild. I was like, how does this exist still? But anyways, family stuff. You know what? I'm gonna talk about this, but I actually have a family of knives here I want to talk about really fast. Okay, these are all prototypes, unfinished stuff, not anything that I'm doing currently. This is from years ago. I mean, we're talking like 10 years ago. So I had a little spurt where I was making knives. Not making knives, I was making knives for myself. And so like, I literally like saw blades and like springs and stuff like that. And I was just getting whatever metal I could and like, you know, like fashioning stuff and pinning stuff and just having fun. So I like just having fun with like some different designs. You can see these knives are never used, or they are never used now. But I made little sheaths for them and stuff like that. They were fun. So I had those ones there. And then this rotated, so I can't show you how much it kind of sort of worked, but kind of sort of didn't work. But this is actually my attempt at like an Opie nail type knife. So this is a full-on actual saw blade that's in there. I think it's got a really cool blade shape to it. I was really stoked on that. And I made it work. I pinned it and everything, and I got this like brass collar. It's like a brass fitting for plumbing. And the top still spins, but what happened now that doesn't want to spin. But what happened is the collar actually shifted, and I can't get the collar to shift again so that I can actually open the knife. But it didn't work properly. Like this was a first attempt. You would open it up and then you'd like do this and it would jiggle everywhere. But it was really fun, like just messing around with the ideas and having fun, trying to figure out how to make this stuff. So I don't know. I think all three of these handles are walnut. And then this knife is actually really special. This is something I'm gonna finish one day. So the reason that I got into this was because my good friend Andrew was really interested in like making knives. So this is a file knife. And what we did is we like one night, Andrew's like, hey, let's go like make some knives, because he'd been into this, wanting to do this. I'm like, okay, let's do it, man. So we each had some files, and we went out and we rode our mountain bikes up into the hills, and we made a fire and got coals going, and like straight up we're like heating these knives up and like grinding them with files by hand. I mean, it was like a horrible process, right? But anyways, a few years later, Andrew ended up passing away, and this was a knife that he had made that he never finished. And so it's a knife that I want to finish, but it's one that I don't know. It's got a lot of emotions around it, right? And so if you guys know about my Honda that I ride, my CX500, I have a couple videos here on the channel about it. That bike is actually from my friend Andrew as well. After he passed away, his dad gave it to me. And so anyways, this knife is Andrew's knife, and I will finish this knife one day when I kind of like wrap my mind around exactly what I want to do with it. So I don't know, kind of this legacy of like making some fun knives and having some fun playing around with that. But on the note of Opie nail, I actually have one Opie nail. This is, and I am not an Opie nail guy. This is an Opie nail knife. It's got like a leather wrapped handle, which is really cool. It was a gift, which was really cool. I've never used this knife, actually. It's probably one that I should probably put in my pocket and use, but I've just never got around to using this one. I like Opie nails. I like the idea of them. I like how slicey they are, but like, I don't know. I just, there's just so many other like traditional types of knives that I think I'd rather carry that I've never really honed in on the Opie nail thing. But I do dig them, so it probably is something that I should carry at some point in time. We got a little family back here. I don't know about you guys, but like, whew, this is a long video. All right, so we have the Kershaw Natrix in copper. Absolutely love this. Is the first knife that I bought with a copper handle. I still think it's a great knife. It's got like a little bit of lock stick, a little bit of hesitation, but like it's really not that bad. And deep carry pocket clip. So love the Natrix, rad knife. Of course, I have a Launch 4, snappy little box cutter. Absolutely love me a good Launch 4. And of course, I have a Launch 11. Absolutely love this. I think this is my favorite launch knife of all time, the Launch 4, or the Launch 11. Stellar design, stellar blade, stellar knife, made in the USA, and real nice and snappy. Thing kicks like a mule. Okay, cool, I saw this knife, so we have to talk about this. All right, I actually have and do carry this knife from time to time. This is a Snake Eye. Still has the Made in China sticker on it. So this beauty right here is actually an interesting story. Last year, oh man, when was it? I think it was in August or September of last year. I ended up going on a motorcycle ride with Dana White and like a bunch of his buddies, like some UFC guys, and like Dana White, the guy who like runs the UFC. I think he owned it at one point, but he sold it. Really cool guy. It was a super rad ride. We were out for like 4 or 5 days, riding around Montana, Wyoming, all of this. It was cool because not only were there like 15 or 20 guys on bikes, and some of them were pretty new to riding, there was also like a Lamborghini, because there was 2 guys that were injured, so they couldn't ride motorcycles. So it was like 15, 20 bikes, a Lamborghini, and then a like full on like a trailer and truck, and then like a huge like tour bus, not like an RV, like a tour bus. It was awesome. We had a private chef every night that would like beat us to the location we were staying at, and he'd make us food. It was wild. It was like a wild thing to do, but it was a lot of fun. Really, really great dudes. I mean, yeah, just absolutely stellar dudes. But anyways, this knife, some of the guys that I was traveling with, Jim, Daryl, and Greg, were out late one night, and I was working on some video stuff because I was filming that whole thing and like, you know, capturing stuff, doing my job. And they went out and they knew that I had the mermaid knife, and they're not like hardcore dyed-in-the-wool knife guys, so they don't really know like the lore around the mermaid. So they bought this knife for me and they brought it back as a gift. And they were like, hey man, like we know you're like really into like trashy knives, which I mean, let's be honest, like I kind of have a crush on trashy knives. And so they gave me this, and it was the sweetest thing. It was so rad. Whenever I go riding with those dudes, I try to carry this knife, which kind of pains me because I love bad knives. I love certain types of bad knives, but I have so many like great knives that it's like what do I do? So I do carry this knife from time to time, especially when I'm gonna go ride with those dudes. I will carry this. It's assisted. It's a snappy little bugger. Like it's a great little knife for what it is. But anyways, yeah, I love that knife, and the story around it is just great. It was a great experience. Let's see, what do we have here? Okay, so this is a Gerber, and again, the name on this one is going to elude me. Pocket Square? Is this the Pocket Square? I cannot remember the name of this knife. I have carried it. It's got a nice Warney blade on it. It doesn't have like a really strong walk and talk, and it doesn't have a really strong half stop. which again, I like in my knives, but I like the design of the thing. I like some of the coloration on it. I love that it's got a 2-place pocket clip, and yeah, I've carried it. Good little blade. But I also have this really cool little utility blade from my buddy Taylor over at Best EDC. I want to say that he gave this to me at Blade Show. That feels right. I think he gave it to me at Blade Show. I have definitely used it. You can see there's a little bit of use on the blade. I used it at Blade Show, probably like building the booth or putting the booth away or something like that. But anyways, this fun little like friction knife, locking knife. Really enjoy that thing. And again, it's one of those knives that like I'm just gonna keep because my buddy gave it to me, and I like seeing it in my knife collection when I get to my collection. Okay, cool. Let's see. This is a dagger knife. Really interesting design. I think the dagger does some intriguing designs. I picked up this knife just to kind of see how it rock and rolled. Haven't really ever played with a dagger knife. So at the time I had access to knives, and so yeah, carried this thing around for a little bit. Not one that I currently carry very often. There are a couple knives that I don't really carry very often that will probably one day end up being like knives that I give to buddies or anything like that. This probably falls in that category. Kind of an interesting pocket clip. Personally, I don't think it's as cool as the Chavez, but like I said, Dagger does some interesting stuff with their design. So that's a Dagger knife there. And then let's just grab both these while we're at it. You guys are gonna know one of these knives really well. So this knife, I think I picked this knife up at like a county fair. Basically, this is a knockoff of Dave over at Protech of his Magic Whisker. I don't like knockoff knives at all. I don't care how well they're made. Most of my really good friends work in the knife industry and own knife companies. So this is not my jam. If that's your jam, that's fine. No judgment. Not my thing at all. But this was kind of interesting. So I picked this up just to check it out because I was interested, like, okay, cool. Like, what are people doing out there? I think it'd be really fun to do a knockoff knife like comparison review. Like get on AliExpress and like order a bunch of knockoffs and then compare them to the real deal. I think that could be a really fun video to just to see what the differences are. And then this is my Spyderco Shaman. This knife's a pretty famous knife, I think. I made some burlap micarta scales for this a long time ago now. It was a very challenging process. I did it mostly by hand. I mean, power tools, but like mostly hand power tools, no CNC machines or anything like that. The scales actually held up for a while, but I found that either I didn't do the resin right to make the micarta, I didn't compress it right, or the burlap was just too wide of a weave for it to be effective. And so eventually the scales ended up getting too soft to be to like hold the knife in. They were slipping on the handle, like the whole thing. So, but I love the Shaman. I carry the Shaman still to this day, and I do keep the scales in there with the knife because, you know, I built those scales. I'm very proud of them. They were hanging on the wall of my shop for a while, but I don't have a shop right now, so I put them in the box. We're getting down there. Let's see. Don't want to miss any. Okay, I think we got a couple here at the bottom though. All right, what do we got left? Okay, I got a neck knife. I have 2 neck knives. Here we go. Okay, cool. All right. Sweet. We just got a couple knives left. I'm just gonna pull this sucker out. Got a couple knives left until I show you guys the grand finale knife. You guys are gonna dig this thing. All right. So this is a Kizer neck knife. This is the Thumper. I have no idea if they even make this anymore. I did a video years ago on neck knives. I carried all sorts of neck knives. I found it really fun, really useful, kind of a cool knife. And this one was the one that I carried the most, so I ended up just keeping it because I like sweat all over it and it was what it was. But I will still carry it from time to time. It's got kind of an interesting like pressure sheath that over the years has kind of gotten looser and looser. So it just kind of goes in, comes out, goes in, comes out. So I tend to not carry this one as much because I kind of have fears that it will fall out. So over the years, this kind of like pressure Kydex style sheath hasn't held up very well. But I do really love the shape of the knife, and I love this knife because it was kind of my introduction into carrying neck knives, which are really rad. Now, on the note of carrying neck knives, I've carried this knife a couple times, but I haven't used it a ton. But I love the Minimalist, and I love the Cleaver Minimalist. So this is CRKT Cleaver Minimalist. Awesome knife, love the way it looks. I mean, talk about a conversation piece. And for me, neck knives are a backup. They are not a primary blade by any measure. So even the bit that I have carried this Minimalist, I've probably used it like just to pull out and show off, to be 100% honest, because I'll have the pocket knife in my pocket as well. Because I don't like the idea of like having to go up under my shirt every time that I want to use my pocket knife. This is actually a really special knife. So I had mentioned my buddy Igor over at MKM Knives when I showed you guys that neat little slip that he made. And this was a gift actually that he sent me. And it is just a really unique, this is a Flame limited edition knife. You can see it comes in this really beautiful wood box. Awesome Damascus and carbon fiber construction. And then it also has this really nice kind of bronzed out titanium. So this was just a really, really awesome gift from my good friend Igor. I kind of hope to be able to do more stuff with MKM in the future. I think they have some amazing knives. There's some Trezola designs that I really love. And honestly, they're just great people, like just awesome people. So this comes with like a little display box. It had a patch that came with it. You can see it's a limited edition 0 of 0. So it's like pretty custom, pretty special knife. I don't have a lot of like really fancy knives. I mean, this is almost the end of everything. So you can see there are not a ton of like super fancy knives, but this knife is really special. I do not carry this knife. This is the only knife in my entire collection that I won't carry. I just won't. I mean, maybe if I was gonna go see Igor in Italy, I would take this knife. I don't know if I could even carry this knife in Italy. I don't know. But yeah, so I don't carry this knife because it's really special. And now that I'm gonna have a permanent place to put stuff up like this knife will go up and be on display because it's from a very dear friend and it's a very special knife. And I actually just put that back in there as well. Whew! All right, now the last knife in my collection, I'm gonna have to wrangle it. Oh my gosh, my voice is so hoarse. All right, so if you can't tell already, this is a CRKT. All right, now I promise you, nobody has one of these and nobody's gonna be able to get one of them. This is a very special knife as well. So my good friends over at CRKT, my good buddy Ryan, we kind of had like a little fun, I wouldn't call it a rivalry, but we had kind of like a fun little challenges that we would do with each other from time to time when we'd get together to do work and stuff like that. So one year I made this, well, me and my team made this awesome portrait of Ryan carrying a huge CRKT M16 as a knife like Conan. And so then the next year, Ryan shows up with this thing, which is the XXXXXXXL CRKT M16. And yeah, I love this thing. So it weighs just under 20 pounds. It's got an aluminum blade, aluminum handle, and it does have a pocket clip as well as thumb studs. So like I said, this knife has not got the attention that it deserves. And so I think what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to do a video highlighting this knife. I think we're gonna have to carry it for a day and you know, just to check its pocketability, check its function, form, you know, action, stuff like that. So you guys can probably expect a video, a full video on my wonderful CRKT M16. I really do love this thing, and it really is actually a very special knife in my collection to me because it's one of a kind. It is literally one of a kind. You won't see anything like this anywhere else, which is really cool. Guys, that was a long video. All of you guys have been asking for this, and to be honest, I've been hesitant to do a video like this because I know how many knives I own. I know like, and this isn't even all of them, guys. Like, I know there's one or two knives that I've got like in a car somewhere, and I mean, I've got my boot knife that's I don't know, it's packed up somewhere. So there's a couple knives that aren't here, but pretty much all the knives are here. So I hope you guys enjoyed it because really, like I said, this video is for you guys. I'm just so very, very grateful that you guys tune in. I'm so very grateful that you guys enjoy the content. If you made it this far, you're a champion because man, this video is a long one. This is a long video, but not only did I mention that we would be looking at a very, very special knife, I also mentioned a giveaway. So if you guys were here when we hit 1,000 followers, I wanted a way that we could do a fun giveaway where somebody could get something special, but I also wanted to do something for all of you at the same time. That's kind of a hard thing to do. I mean, there's over 10,000 of you now watching the channel, and so I didn't know how to give a thank you to everybody. So what I did is I made a mixtape, and you can go watch that video if you want to know how to make the perfect mixtape. So what I'm going to do for this is same thing. I am making a mixtape for you guys just like I did last time. Now, I can't make 10,000 of you a mixtape, a physical mixtape. chances are most of you do not have tape players. And on top of that, I just literally couldn't do it. It would be impossible for me to do it in any sort of a timely manner. So what I've done is I've created a playlist, which you'll be able to find down in the description. And that is my huge thank you to you guys along with this video with the knife collection. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you everybody for watching, and I hope we just keep growing. I hope we can keep making this thing happen. I am giving away an actual physical mixtape of the Spotify mixtape. It'll have a couple Easter eggs in it as well. The A side is what I have built for you guys. So it's music that I think you guys will dig. And the B side, I've actually taken from suggestions from you guys on YouTube and Instagram that makes up the B side. So you guys help me make the B side. So if you head over to Instagram, all the information's on Instagram on how to win the mixtape giveaway. Now, along with the mixtape, it's more than a mixtape. So playlist down below, that's for everybody as a thank you for your chance to win. Head over to Instagram and you could win a super rad physical mixtape with some custom art on it and a couple Easter eggs. My good buddies over at Worksharp offered to throw in precision adjust. I didn't ask them to. They sent me a text. They're like, hey, congratulations on 10,000. We'd be willing to throw this in for a giveaway. So huge shout out to Worksharp. Always love those guys, and it's really fun to be working with them on this channel on some cool stuff. So I have a whole video on this system if you guys want to go check it out of me unboxing it and figuring it out. And honestly, like if a sharpening Luddite like me can figure out how to use this thing, anybody can. So this is part of the giveaway. And I had like last time I gave away one of my personal knives, and I wanted to do that again. And as I was looking through my knives, I was like, like there could be restrictions with people in certain areas and all that other stuff. And so what I landed on was another one of my favorites. Last time it was a bug out. This time I'm gonna be giving away a Leatherman Surge. Now, I'm not gonna be giving away this Leatherman Surge. And the only reason that I'm not giving away my personal one is, to be honest guys, I've got years and years and years of use on this thing. Like, you don't want it. It's a little rough, it's a little beat up. But I am gonna be giving away a brand new Leatherman Surge. So the giveaway is a physical mixtape with some custom art and some fun and, you know, just a rad mixtape, which you can hang on the wall or you can listen to. Depends on if you have a tape player. A Worksharp Precision Adjust Elite sharpening system, which is super rad. And then also a Leatherman Surge. And that's what the giveaway is. Hopefully, all of this is a great thank you. Hopefully you guys enjoy the playlist that I have down in the description. Let me know. And I think that's it for this video. This was a long one. My voice is like going. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys dug it. Again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for just hanging out in the comments and being rad. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next one.